Welcome to Astrology 101. This series of 4 classes will include signs, planets, and houses. And we begin with Class 1. These are the books for this course: Astrology, A Cosmic Science by Isabel Hickey, and Book of Houses by Robert Cole. We begin with Aries. Aries is the first sign. They are headstrong and impulsive people. They are a cardinal sign, which means enterprising and doing, so they are doers. They are a fire sign. They are people who are very enthusiastic and inspirational and active, like a fire is active. The symbol for Aries is the ram, which is headstrong. If you think about the horns of a ram, if you think about how they butt heads, especially males vying for the herd, so they butt heads. They butt up against other seemingly implacable situations. Aries people lead with the head. The first thing to enter a room is their head and eyes. It rules the head. It rules the eyes. And they're people who are pioneers. They're risk takers. They like to put themselves first. There is a deep level of self-appreciation and self-love inside the Aries, not always on the surface, but deep inside them. And that's why they're willing to put themselves first. Why not? They feel that they deserve to be first. They are who they are. And so they'll dangle their toes off the edge of the cliff to see what lives there. They'll try new situations and bring new information to given situations or the present moment. Their color is red. And it's a scarlet red, like the screen color. It's not a deep red. It's a bright red, like fire engine red. And they're curious, and if Aries follow their curiosity, they're in a good position. It really works for them. An image of an Aries person is like the young male warrior. You know, he's ready to set off on his adventure, and maybe has what he needs with him, maybe he doesn't, but it doesn't matter. He's got this energy for movement and this energy to just go and get out there and try new things and be the first kid on his block to have, you know, whatever the new thing is, the new toy, the new knowledge, the new healing tool, the new way of looking at things. So it's got a masculine electricity in a sense that it's radiative, it's outgoing. The energy goes out there and looks and sees what's going on and what it has and what it can meet. Taurus is the second sign. Taurus is fixed earth. So it can be quite stubborn at times. You know, what it thinks or where it's at, that's where it likes to be. It's very practical. It is a sign of natural appreciation for the beauty of the earth. So it likes to garden, it likes to farm, it likes to grow things, flowers, fruits, vegetables. It's very artistic. And loves beauty. Beauty feeds them. If they have something of beauty around them, it's like food for a Taurus. And with food, it also says they can be good cooks, very practical food. Not necessarily gourmet, but not necessarily not gourmet. They like to cook, they like to feed people, and Taurus rules the singing voice. A lot of times they're singers, and it rules the neck. The symbol for Taurus is the bull, and you think about the thick neck of the bull, a lot of Taurus people or Taurus rising people have very thick necks. It's the place between the head and the shoulders. It's what attaches the head to the shoulders, and because it is attached and attachedness, it has a Taurus person, if they're willing, look at their own attachments to things. The colors are yellow and pink for Taurus people, and again, they're salt of the earth people, and yet they can be quite stubborn and say, I'm just going to put my feet down here and I'm not moving, and this is how I feel about things. So they can be quite stubborn, but it has its place. The next sign is Gemini. It's a mutable air sign. Mutable meaning changeable. They're flexible and changeable, and they roll with the tides, and today it might be one thing and tomorrow it might be exactly the opposite or just another thing. They're high on communication. Air sign is always about language and communication skills. Gemini rules the speaking voice, the throat, shoulders, arms, and hands, the upper duplicities in the body. So it's the speaking voice. It's not the singing voice. It's the speaking voice, giving language to things, lots of words, language, communication skills in many different types of ways. A language can be music. It can be Spanish or French, and it can be astrology, and there's probably other languages out there that people know of or can learn. The symbol for Gemini is the twins, and so that's that duality of personality. You know, they roll this way today, they roll a different way tomorrow. They can be, you know, have an agreement to meet you for dinner, and halfway across town they change their mind and they go a different direction and do something else. That's very Gemini-ish. They have at least two aspects to their personality, and sometimes probably even more. Their color is yellow. It's the color of the mind. It's ruled by Venus, Mercury, and it is Mercury is the mind in a sense, and the thinking process, and that's its ruling planet. Cancer. Cancer is a cardinal water sign, and it is its color is blue, as you can see from the screen. It rules the stomach and breasts, and when there is emotional discord, they get stomach aches. Their belly hurts them. If it's a kid and he doesn't like what's going on at school, he wakes up with a stomach ache and doesn't want to go to school that day. Things rest in their gut, in their belly. Cardinal sign is a doer, like Aries. This is cardinal water, where Aries was cardinal fire. So this is about feeling. They're emotionally and psychically sensitive. They like to create nurturing environments. They like to feed people food or ideas, but in that, creating safe space. They also are people who want to create emotionally safe space for others. They are people who can tune in emotionally and psychically to their environment, and especially to the larger consciousness that's moving through humanity at any given time. So they can tune into trends and fads, and they can also develop a service, a business, or a product on the side and slide that idea forward or that product forward just as humanity gets there and needs that. And so they have that attunement into the larger consciousness. They're very sensitive people, and sometimes they need to look at, are they sensitive to the real or imagined harshness of others? The symbol for Cancer is the crab, and like its glyph, it looks like crab claws. And so it's saying that the crab has a hard exterior shell with a very soft underbelly, and some cancers are like that. They might have a little bit of a tough, demeanor to their personality, and yet underneath is a very soft underbelly. Very sensitive, very sensitive. The colors are blue and also sometimes greens, the colors of the sea. It's ruled by the moon, and the moon is our emotions and feelings, and it represents how we feel into situations. Cancers feel into things. They trust their feelings. They cry easily. Their feelings are such an immense part of who they are. Leo. Leo is the king and queen. It is a fixed fire sign, so its ideas and its ways of doing things are the ways it does things. It's another fixed sign like Taurus, only this is fire and Taurus was earth. And so it's enthusiastic, it's gregarious, it's an enthusiasm and an inspirational content. The glyph is like the lion's tail. The symbol of Leo is the lion, the king of the jungle, as it's been put out, the king and queen. They make great actors, teachers, leaders. They are the personification of the leader energy. They can go into situations, take charge, and delegate responsibility. It rules the heart, blood, and spine, and so it's saying that the heart of things. They need to be in the center of things, and because their energy, fire again, like Aries, is outgoing and radiative, and masculine, not feminine, receptive, like Cancer was. And so as its energy goes out away from them, it's fine for everybody else, but it's only when they put themselves in the heart of the situation, the center of attention, that they draw other people's energy to them by being an actor, a teacher, or a leader. And that's when their own energy gets turned in on itself and they get to see themselves. So people accuse Leos and say you always have to be the center of attention, and absolutely that's its job. That's when it gets to see and know itself. So they like to do things in a big way. Why do little pen and ink drawings when we can put butcher paper on the wall and do it that way? So they like large, like kingly and queenly. And they have to remember their own humility, because without that, without their people, they have no kingdom or queendom. Their colors are yellows, yellow oranges, orange, gold especially, and it's ruled by the sun. Like the sun is the center of our solar system, Leos like to be the center of their solar systems, whether it's family or whatever it happens to be. Virgos. Virgos are a mutable sign and earth. They're a mutable sign like Gemini, so they're changeable. They can go with things. They're extremely analytical. They like to analyze things, take things apart, and see how things work. Whether it's an analyst, a psychotherapist, or a car mechanic, they like to see how things work. They're an earth sign, but they're mental earth because they're ruled by Mercury like Gemini is. And so they're mental earth. They're classified as an earth sign, so they're practical, and they'll bring their practicality to whatever situation they find themselves in. But they also think through things and analyze things and discern. They're very particular. They don't need everything. They just need certain things. And so they'll pick through and pick out what works for them. They're humble people. They're not, you know, proud and arrogant. They're very humble people. A lot of times they work with animals, and sometimes they prefer animal company to human company. And there's times where they just need to get away from human company and computers and machines and roll on the floor with a dog, or take themselves out into nature, put their back up against a tree to allow their nervous system to download. Because it rules the digestive system and it rules the nervous system. And Virgo people digest things. They digest knowledge. They digest experiences. So they take things in and mull it around and just kind of let it be there for a bit, and then they come up with a solution or an answer or a response. The color is navy blue. This is a little brighter, but navy blue. And it's a color of uniforms, navy blue, browns, dark greens. A lot of times they do service work, and they're willing to be helpers, but they also like to be of service to other people. And they'll be the bus drivers and the waitresses and, you know, conveyance operators and things like that. The symbol for Virgo is the Virgin, and there's a purity there. It's the purity of the Virgin consciousness, the purity of going into situations and just discerning what they have. And there's a pureness in Virgo. They like the pureness of good medicine or alternative health practices, the pureness of nature, the pureness of good untainted food. And so they may be very oriented toward diets or foods or alternative health practices, herbs, massage, that kind of thing. The next sign is Libra, and it's a cardinal sign like Aries and Cancer, but it's an air sign. And so air sign is also masculine electricity, outgoing and radiative. And it rules the kidneys. The symbol is the balance, the scales of balance. And so the kidneys are like the saltwater balance in the body. And so it's saying that it always wants a balance. It teaches other people how to be cooperative and equality oriented. It's very diplomatic. It wants fairness and justice for everyone. And Libra is very much about relationships. They'll do things on their own, but if they have somebody else to do them with, how much more interesting. It's an air sign, so it's mental, communicative, intellectual, likes to share ideas, likes to talk, likes to communicate. They're fairly indecisive a lot of times, and they need change to an extent, not like Gemini, the other air sign, which is more constant, but you might come home one day and your Libra partner has rearranged the house and you don't even recognize if it's your house or not when you open the door. Or they've agreed to go on a trip with you, and 2 days after they agreed, they changed their mind. They're indecisive at times, and they like to sit on a fence, you know, because they can see both sides of the situation. They just think if they sit on the fence and wait for it all to go away, things will be fine. But Gandhi, who was a Libra, said, sometimes it's not so much what you do as much as that you act. And so it's important for them to choose A, and if A doesn't work, no big deal, I'll try B. And if B doesn't work, I've got C, D, E, and F waiting in the wings. Libra is ruled by Venus, just like Taurus. And so beauty, again, their sense of harmony, their sense of beauty, their sense of color and form and texture and accessories and diplomacy, that's all part of the beauty aspect of Venus ruling Libra. And even though the screen is a different color, their color is green. It's kind of like a grass green. Scorpio. Scorpio is fixed water, so it's fixed like Taurus and Leo, only this is the water counterpart. The symbol for Scorpio is the scorpion, which that little arrow on the M is like the scorpion's tail. So there's three aspects of the Scorpio personality. And the scorpion is like also like the snake in the grass. You know, it's vengeful at times. It gets into payback, and it's the lowest aspect of Scorpio. Then there's the mid-range, which is the gray lizard. It's very nondescript, doesn't have that vengeful aspect, doesn't have the eagle aspect of flying close to the sun, which I'm going to mention in a minute. It's just kind of nondescript. It's very private, but nondescript. And then you have the eagle, which is also the symbol for Scorpio. And it's the bird that can fly closest to the sun. It's lofty. It's transformative. It's changed its whole life and transformed all of the parts of its life so that it's now flying into, you know, the Godhead, or whatever you want to call that, merging with the divine. And so Scorpio people, it rules the reproductive system. So they're creators. They're creators and builders. They can take things from, you know, an old house and transform it into a castle. They're great at transformation of any kind, in their personality, in their body, in what they focus on out in the world. Their colors are dark reds and black. They like those colors. They need a lot of privacy, dressing in black. They like side streets and alleyways, not mainstream America necessarily. They're deep, intense people. They like to cut to the chase and get to the bottom line. They are a person who needs privacy. They will respect yours, but they need it for themselves. They're great at research. They're very investigative and secretive and extremely insightful. They can see into things. They can get under people's radar and know what's going on. They are also the most misunderstood sign, and so because of their privacy, other people think what they might be doing and then hold them responsible for it. So other people project onto them. And Scorpio, like all the water and earth signs, are feminine, receptive. So the energy for them is very indrawing rather than radiative and going out away from themselves. So they are water sign, fixed water. They how they feel is how they feel, and it might not change real soon. They're water. They're as emotional as Cancer, but they're deeper. It goes much deeper. And they're the people who are the coroners, the forensic medicine people, the people who are first responders in dire situations sometimes, because they can take it. They have a deep well of emotional life inside of them, and they can just take those kinds of situations where other people would be very put off. Sagittarius, the color is bright blue, and they're a mutable sign in fire. So they're mutable like Gemini and Virgo, and this is the fire counterpart. So they're changeable. They can roll with changes. They're like the planetary traveler, the global traveler. They're fire sign. They are adventurous and inspirational. They're very philosophical. They like to share their philosophy of life with you, and they'll listen to yours, absolutely. They're curious. They want to see what's over the next hill, and it rules the hips and thighs and the ability to move forward. They're the travelers, the people who go to other lands and other destinations. They tend to procrastinate, but there's a funny thing about Sag called the art of timing. So it's like they might put something off for days and months, and then one day they wake up and go, today's the day I'm going to do it, and it's the most perfect day to have done it anyway. So only they know if they are procrastinating and being lazy, or if they are waiting for that moment in time that they know is the perfect time to do something. They're ruled by Jupiter, which is very expansive, very large, expansiveness and seeing the bigger picture instead of getting caught in the details. And their ruler, in a sense, or the outpicturing totem for them is the centaur, half man, half beast. They're the archer, and when they pull that arrow back, they let it go, and a lot of times it hits its mark. And so they bridge the human and animal kingdoms, in a sense, with that centaur being its outpicture. And they're very breezy people, usually. They just have a philosophy of life. It's very live and let live, and they accept people for where they find them. Capricorn. Capricorn is a cardinal sign like Aries, Cancer, and Libra. So they're doers. They have agendas. They're an earth sign, so they receive things rather than emit and be a radiator, in a sense. They're doers, and they set goals, and they see the top of the mountain. It's the mountain goat that can climb there and get to those craggy edges. There's been 21-year-old Capricorn male and females who run and own their own company, you know, at such an early age. They just have this perseverance and this goal orientation, and they just keep going. They're very enterprising. They're an earth sign, so it's very practical. One goat foot in front of another goat foot getting up that mountain. They like sequential order. First I'll do this, then I'll get to that, then I'll get to the goal. It rules the knees, and it's about being able to bend the knee or have a flexibility in the knee, and be humble and not have your knees locked. It's hard to climb with locked knees, and when your knees are locked, it's like, nope, you know, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to do anything else. And they need to remember to smell the flowers. They need to remember to do something nice for themselves and for the people around them. They can be cool emotionally a little bit and not always divulge some of their deeper feelings. And they're very serious and studious. You know, Capricorn kids like to read. Where everybody else might be out playing, they might be the kid that's sitting home with a book or, you know, a Kindle or whatever. And their color is dark green. In a sense, it's the color of money, but it's also the color of that perseverance energy where it's single-minded focus. It's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the taskmaster, in a sense. Saturn is the CEO. Saturn is the teacher. Saturn is the person who's acquired knowledge and gathered experiences so they can be that authority figure at the end. Aquarius. Aquarius is like an electric blue color, a blue-violet color. It rules the ankles and calves. It's a fixed sign, and it's an air sign. So it's an air sign like Gemini and Libra. So of course, very communicative, very intellectual, mental communication, language, speaking for others who can't speak for themselves, very inventive, very science-oriented sometimes. It's the sign of astrology. It's a fixed sign, so it's like its ideas, as abstract and out there as they might be, that's how they think. And it might not change soon. The other fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio, and so here is the air counterpart to that fixed cross. And so it's saying that the symbol for the Aquarius is, people think it's a symbol of water, and the out picture part is the water bearer, a human pouring an urn of what looks like water onto humanity, and actually it's not water, it's ideas and knowledge. And so it's called a water bearer, but it's actually pouring knowledge out to humanity. It's ruled by the planet Uranus, and so it's lightning-like change. Uranus is the planet of change, and so Aquarius are very eccentric. They do things in their own way. They hear that beat of a different drummer. They don't like to be restricted and limited. They're extremely humanitarian. They'll champion the whales. They'll champion humanity. And they're very detached. And that detachedness serves them, so they don't get caught up emotionally in given situations, so that they can step back and, as an astrologer, as a speaker, as an inventor, they can address what needs to be addressed without being emotionally caught. And so the science, the inventive and the science part, a lot of times, you know, they're very abstract thinkers. Their mind is very much out there looking at other things and ruling the calves and ankles. It's good for Aquarian kids to have those little trampolines sometimes to jump on. It strengthens the muscles of the ankles, which is supporting the whole weight of the body. And Pisces. Pisces is the last sign. It is mutable. It's a mutable sign like Gemini, Virgo, and Sag, only it's the water counterpart. And the symbol for Pisces is the fish swimming in two different directions held by a common tie. And so they swim in different directions. They can swim into drinking and drugs, and they can swim into being lofty and world servers. You know, they're pulled at times, at different times in their lives. And it rules the feet, and the feet are the symbol of compassion on how we walk upon our earth, our planet. And they have a willingness to be of service, but they are learning boundaries in this life. They will help you. They are the helpers. They will be the people who work in nursing homes and hospitals. They will be the people who are of willing service. However, and because of their compassionate side, they're so sensitive emotionally and psychically, and so compassionate for the suffering of humankind, and they want to help and they want to serve. And yet they need to also have boundaries so that they're not giving themselves away. This is no longer the Piscean age of the sacrifice and the giveaway. We are on the cusp, the 300-year cusp of moving into the Aquarian age, where you are your own guru. You have the ear of deity to speak to. You don't need an intermediary like a priest. And it's saying that you need to have boundaries. You need to be able to say no, or if you're channeling energy, you need to be able to say when and how, and not thinking that somebody needs to be saved. I believe we are all fully developed souls coming here to have a human experience, and nobody needs to be saved from anything. It's like 4th grade. You fall down and skin your knees. You pick yourself up, brush your knees off, and go back into the play. And so sometimes helping others and trying to save others becomes a distraction from our own personal work. And so Pisces need to be able to say no to the distraction, to be able to say no when they don't feel like being of service today. They want to go off and do something for themselves. And bravo, because they need to learn how to give to themselves everything they would give to another person. Their colors are blues, sea colors, and also violets and purples, especially. They're ruled by Neptune, which is the spiritual planet, quote unquote. Neptune is a couple things which we'll get into in the planet class, but it's also illusion. It's the fog and mist off the water, but yet it's our spiritual essence as well. So Pisces work to be clear in their feelings. They're water signs, so their feelings are very sensitive, and they sometimes feel everything. And so they have to have boundaries so that they feel things when they want to, and they don't have to when they don't want to. So the homework for this class is to think about the people you know and how they fit into the sun sign they were born under. Think about your parents and what sign they were, or your siblings, or the friends you have, and just notice if there's a predominance of, lots of Virgos in your life, or lots of Capricorns, or maybe you had a lot of Pisces friends when you were young and now they're all Scorpios or Leos. And just to notice, and notice how they fit with what you've just looked at, what you've just read and thought about. And so if you're following with the books, here's the homework in Astrology, a Cosmic Science to read, and it's also to keep the symbols of the signs handy so that you can doodle them and draw them and paint them so that they become part of your language. Like when you're learning Spanish and you have maybe key word cards around, and so that you can remember what they mean, and become as familiar with them as possible so that they become part of your language. So that's it for class 1. I hope that you have enjoyed the class. I'm always open to feedback and comments. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.